So hello, good morning, Dr. Abhijeet. Thank you for joining this
Hello.
podcast. So I'll just introduce you very quickly. So Dr. Abhijeet Shirkande, he's an Ayurvedic doctor, an associate professor in Ayurvedic medicine, and specializes in Dravyaguna, which is herbal medicine and pharmacology. He also has an Ayurvedic medical practice in Pune, where he has been practicing there since 2010. And he's also the secretary of International Academy of Ayurveda and currently based in Pune in India. So thank you so much for joining this podcast on Gaia Ayurveda. This morning, we're going to be talking about herbal medicine and the qualities of plants, otherwise known as Dravyaguna, which is Ayurvedic medicine, herbal medicine and pharmacology. So Dr. Abhijeet,
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would you just like to say a little bit about yourself? I know you mentioned earlier on your PhD, and which seemed very interesting.
Yes, sure. Myself, Dr Abhijeet Shirkande. In India, the person who is working with the field of Ayurveda, we proudly say that we are Vaidya, not doctor. It's a similar thing, but it's a tradition. And I'm pursuing my PhD in cancer and herbal medicine. I'm focusing towards mainly the osteosarcoma, that is a bone cancer, and breast cancer cell line. Simultaneously, I'm doing research related with the menstruation and the study related with that. I learned my Ayurveda from Guru Shishya Parampara and also from the university. So for 12 years, I learned from this science, this traditional science from my guru, that is a Vaidya Samir Jamadagni. So because of his blessing, now I am here. Thank you for your this opportunity.
Very good. Wow, how interesting. And could you just very briefly explain what you just meant about Vata?
Vaidya is a traditional name of doctor. Okay. So traditionally, the doctor terms come with the allopathic science. But before that, in traditional India, who are the healers? We called themselves as a Vaidya.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you.
Vida is the dhatu, and which means who is a Vidwan in the field of Vidwans means intellectual in the field of Ayurveda.
Okay.
That is the Vaidya.
Yes, so obviously maybe for some of our listeners, just to explain that in India, Ayurveda has been practiced for thousands of years. It's some say it dates back to around 5,000 years old. But now Ayurveda in modern day India is institutionalized around the whole country. So you have Ayurvedic hospitals, universities, it's accredited nationally and very much supported by the state. And all Ayurvedic doctors or Vaidyas are medical doctors as well as Ayurvedic practitioners. So this is what's for me so interesting, that a kind of natural medicine as well has been so integrated into the state and into the whole country and the culture. I mean, you've used this maybe for centuries, and it's so interesting for me in the West to see this as a model, you know, with over 1 billion people in the country, that it can work and in practice and is available to the people.
Yes. Nowadays, mainly the Ministry of Ayush, which is the government run by the government of India, who legalized the Ayurveda as an institution. Means our undergraduation course is around 5.5 years. Mm-hmm. After that undergraduation, we can go for the master degree, that is a MD, master in as a doctor, and that degree is around 3 years. And after that, you can go for the PhD. So I learn through the institution, like more than 12 years, I'm learning this thing continuously. And now I'm also pursuing the PhD. So it takes quite longer time to learn Ayurveda. But Ayurveda is a life science. So through our generation to generation, we are learning these things. And for the degree base, we are learning through the institution also.
And that's also something that is so beautiful, I find. Maybe I'll just explain to the listeners that I met Dr. Abhijeet when I was continuing, finishing basically a postgraduate in Spain of Ayurveda, and we went and visited the University of Ayurvedic University in Pune, and I basically discovered how not only is Ayurveda it's institutionalized in terms of the academic side in university, as you said, 5.5 years, but also you have this concept of having a guru to help you also further the knowledge, someone with practical and many years of experience who has also received this information down from generations. I found that very, very interesting to complement the studies.
Yes. And nowadays, Ayurveda is also integrated with the modern sciences. And because of that, all the efforts, now WHO is also involving the traditional medicinal branch. And we have one institute or one research center of WHO which is working focusedly on the traditional medicine. So maybe all over the world, the now traditional medicine will be booming branch.
Yes, that's so interesting that you raised that point, because yes, the WHO, the World Health Organization, I also read that even nowadays, the traditional medicine is the most widely practiced medicine globally if we really look at per person on the planet. Allopathic modern medicine has come in the last few hundred years, but really the global population, the average person, really heavily depends on local natural traditional medicine. But it's very interesting that there's this convergence, this combination of the two, because I think that's really necessary now.
For the humanity and for the betterment of mankind, the integrated approach is necessary. Modern science is also good because they explore the good dimensions now of medicine. And Ayurveda is also very much good at their own basic principles, their preventive aspect and their curative aspect, rejuvenating aspect. We can, and the integration of these both science with the focused basic principle, that will be more helpful for the mankind.
Mm-hmm. So yes, as you just said, and you named some of the kind of benefits or some of the larger implications of the Ayurvedic field in terms of prevention, longevity, and also rejuvenation. But could you, in your own words, kind of just explain to you what is Ayurveda? So in simple terms, for some of our listeners who maybe don't know what Ayurveda is, if you could just explain what Ayurveda is to you.
Yes. Ayurveda, if you divide this word, Ayur and Veda, Ayur means life and Veda means the science. So this word mentioned that this is the science of life. So how we live, how should we eat, how what kind of things we should follow in our day-to-day regime, daily regime, like then what kind of dietary habits we should accept it, what kind of dietary habits we should avoid, and simultaneously how we can sleep, how we can get up, what kind of exercise we can do, everything related with the life science, this explained in the field of Ayurveda, and in very natural way, with the parallel we are going with the nature, not avoiding the nature. Okay, that's a very beautiful thing of Ayurveda.
Yes, and that for me is really what drew me to Ayurveda as well. Coming through my own experience of health imbalances and health issues, I was drawn to Ayurveda obviously to heal myself, and to get to the root cause of not just the root cause, but almost the environment at which the dis-ease or disease manifests in. But the main thing that drew me is this understanding of a larger pattern of the universe and nature and the cycles of nature, and how we are intrinsically linked to nature and we're not separate from it. So the philosophy and all the theory of the Pancha Maha Bhutas, the 5 elements, and how they predominate in certain people and certain bodies, and also how they dominate or predominate or manifest and the qualities in nature and in the day, in the night and day cycle, in the seasonal cycle, in terms of the food and the food that Mother Nature actually produces, which is in line with these 5 elements and in line with the qualities. This is definitely a science for me that is so deep and so complicated, actually, but it's very extensive, and it's so interesting and a very beautiful science for me to learn, and it made me understand a lot more and be in connection with nature and myself and the cycles of my own body and the cycles of nature.
Mm. As you say, the related with the mainly related with the Pancha Mahabhuta. The Pancha Mahabhuta are the 5 basic elements. How the universe form according to the Ayurvedic principles. How human beings are formed. How that elements is impact in our lives, our cellular structure, our metabolism. How the disease is formed with that 5 elements. How we can treat that disease with that 5 elements. Everything is related with this, and these things are mentioned as the basic principles. Okay, so whenever you want to learn Ayurveda, you should learn first the basic principles of Ayurveda. That is a 3 dosha: body, humor, water, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, dhatus, agnis, that's a digestive fire, different type of digestive fires, simultaneously with the Mahabhuta, Pancha Mahabhuta. These are the different basic principles. If you learn that thing, so you can easily learn Ayurveda very gracefully. That's more important.
Yes, I mean, I think in definitely other episodes we'll go more into detail on the Pancha Mahabhutas, the 5 elements, the doshas. I think for some listeners who don't know anything about the doshas, maybe could you just briefly just explain the 5 elements and the doshas very quickly, and then we can see how this implicates or has a relationship with herbal medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, and pharmacology.
Yes, mainly doshas. If you consider about the dosha is the predominant energy present in our body. Because of that, our body system, our psychological system is working. Mainly 3 doshas are there: Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Okay, Vata dosha are mainly taking the action as movement. Okay, the momentary action, whatever is happening in our body, is because of the Vata. Pitta is the action of digestion. Whatever the metabolism, metabolic changes is happening in our body is because of the Pitta. Okay, and Kapha is the predominant of Jala Mahabhuta and Prithvi. That is 2 elements which form
Earth
the
and
liver.
water. So
Yes,
for the listeners that don't know Sanskrit.
yes, earth and water. And these 2 things are more important to form new cells in our body, to construct new things in our body. And these 3 doshas are more important to develop our body in very proper way. And according to that dosha predominance, the Prakruti forms at the time of birth. And this Prakruti is throughout our body is continuously constant. And this dosha, if we get vitiated, we got some diseases, maybe the physical disease, or means body or psychological diseases, or related with the physical aspect of disease. Okay, we have to calculate that and we have to take that. It's a simple mathematics explained by the Ayurveda.
So yes, as you said, simple mathematics, that's very interesting, and I guess we can look at it as an equation. No, as you said, it's these 5 elements that predominate in various forms in the body and in each person, according to their Prakruti or their nature, their biocharacteristics, which has an impact on the psychology, the physiology. I guess it's so interesting as well, the concept of balance as well. That these qualities of the elements, for example, fire, we can balance it with maybe earth or water,
Yes.
to really balance. That's the whole point. Is kind of syncing to the cycles of nature, but also bringing balance and harmony into the body. Yes. Changing disease.
Mainly in our elements, or in your our universe, 5 elements are present. That is ether, then air, then fire, then water, and earth. And these 5 elements are depending upon each other. They balance each other every time. And if the balance is vitiated, then the problems or chaotic situation happen in the universe also and in our body also. The simple way, if the global warming is increased, definitely that impact may give the another impact on the different elements. Okay, because of that Teja Mahabhuta or the fire elements. Same thing is happening in our body. So whatever we think about the universe, we definitely think about our body, and whatever the care we taking of our body, we have to take care of universe also.
Yes, that is very important to know this, as you said, the reaction and the action, the karma, that we have from, for example, this heating or climate change on the planet, and this obviously with a raising temperatures or even falling temperatures, these extremes are going to have an impact globally on a macro level, but also on a micro level in the body. So maybe we can just look at, we've seen just quickly the introduction to Ayurveda. So for you, working in your field in Ayurvedic pharmacology and herbal medicine, what for you is the importance of using herbal medicine, and why are botanicals so effective in helping in disease prevention and longevity and treatment?
Yes, mainly rather than the minerals, the herbal plants are living things. If we are using the synthetic drug, that are the non-living things. Okay, we are the living body. Whatever the problems are coming with our soul, our body, which is related with the living things. Okay, so if we want to cure our body, we have to use the living things. But rather than to kill the animals or kill the things, we should go for the plants. Plant-based are the more basic medicine for treatment of human body. Okay, and for the whenever we learning the Dravyaguna or the herbal medicine, we learn about the different basic principles. That is the rasa, what kind of rasa means taste of that plant, what kind of virya, that is the potency of that plant, what is the vipaka, that is after metabolism, what kind of changes is happening in our body, that is a vipaka. And guna means the physical property of specific that plant. This impact in our body, it that thing we called as a pharmacokinetics. And the Ayurvedic pharmacokinetics we have to learn, and these are the very big and very diversified branch. We can learn with the very good in way with the Ayurvedic principle. In simple way, I give one example that if you can imagine the garlic, okay, and the garlic, what do you think? The potency of garlic is cold or hot? So if you taste it, you can feel easily that is a hot in potency. Okay, if you think about the chili, what will the potency of that plant? You easily tell that the potency is hot in potency. Similarly, that if you are eating that thing, definitely the hot potency will increase in your body, and that potency which is related with the Teja Mahabhuta, that is a fire elements. Okay, so if you have the visheshan in fire elements, your Agni is not in proper way, you should eat definitely. But if you have the digestive fire in more predominant in your body, or your Pitta is more predominant, you should avoid that. That is a simple logic behind the how we can use, how we can avoid the dietary regime. Okay, and this thing is told by the Dravyaguna. This thing is told by this herbal medicine branch.
Very interesting. So yes, maybe that was very interesting, and thank you for the examples of garlic and chili. And but in terms of the word Dravyaguna, could you just explain? So Dravyaguna is otherwise could be described as Ayurvedic herbalism, no?
Yes, Dravya, which is related, mainly related with the plants or minerals, whatever the physical structure present in the universe, it's called as the Dravya. And Guna means qualities. Okay, so what are the qualities of that plant? What are the qualities of that minerals? What are the qualities of that physical structure? What this explain in this science. Okay, and how that qualities will affect in our body, how that qualities will impact in our body. that is called as a Dravyaguna. This science is deal with the action of that plants.
Okay, thank you. Yes, because one of the reasons as well, and I think I mentioned to you that I wanted to speak with you and have this conversation, because in Western herbalism, it's very developed nowadays, and there's a lot of interest and a lot of people training themselves, educating themselves in Western herbalism. Also, we've had our own herbalism for centuries as well, although it's not developed as Ayurveda or maybe traditional Chinese medicine on this basis of information. Obviously, we know in India you have the various textbooks, which are ancient textbooks that have been passed down and really are the key reference, like the Charaka Samhita, the Ashtanga Hridayam. No? So in the West, I think we've developed herbalism and we have a lot of knowledge. But what I find so interesting and applicable to Western herbalism is this quality, as you said, of the plant, because I feel we know qualities of the plants in terms of their properties of, okay, this is immune boosting, or this is going to help you with your digestion or period pain. But we lack maybe a larger, broader understanding of the qualities in the Ayurvedic term of guna, which is as you said, the properties of the plant in terms of having a certain taste, rasana, vipaka, the energy, virya, the potency or the post-digestive effect, and then an action, a karma in the body. Because in Western herbalism, you could use one plant to treat, people maybe think, oh, this plant is only for period pain, or this plant is only to increase your digestion. But the fact that, as you said, it has this tejas or this fire action, this heating quality could also be applied, for example, to calm the nervous system, or to ease pain, or to ease flatulence, because we know that these things come from Vata imbalance and more air and space elements. So we're really balancing it with the fire, and it's this one plant maybe doesn't have only these specific effects with the properties to treat the medical conditions or the imbalance we know, but they can be applied in various ways based on their energy, which is, I find, so interesting.
Very well said, Pan. That is let's go with that simple example of our garlic. As we say, garlic is a hot in potency. Okay, but garlic is one of the key medicine for any Vata disorder. You can treat any Vata disorder, neurological condition, any Vata problem, rheumatic condition, pain problem. You can treat with the garlic with the different dosage form or different kalpanas, that is different formulations. And this hot potency or this fire element is pacifying the earth and mainly pacifying the ether and air elements in that condition. Okay, that's a good. If you understand this very well balancing thing, then you can treat any difficult diseases with the very easy treatment, very cost effective treatment. And now we can see there are different diseases are coming every year, different viruses attacking towards us. Okay, and the treatment is too much costly. So we need the nature cure. We need definitely the cost effective treatment every time. Otherwise, we are only taking the pills and we are only avoiding the disease for some time. After that, new virus will come, they will attack us, and this thing happen and happen and happen. Okay, so we should go for this way. And another little bit different between the modern pharmacology and Ayurvedic pharmacology is that modern pharmacology is mainly focusing toward the chemical compounds. Like an example, if we go, means so we can go with the example of curcuma. Okay, curcuma is widely used plant. Modern science is mainly focusing on the curcumin, the chemical active compounds which found in the curcuma. They are only focusing on the curcumin and the different varieties of curcuma, different alkaloids of curcumin. Okay, but Ayurveda says instead of using that only one chemical compound, you should use the whole plant. Okay, that's a more important thing, because in that plant there is some other chemical compound which also counteract that curcumin side effect. Okay, Same like a nimba. Plant is Azar directa indica, botanical name is, and the one of the content is nimbin. If you use that nimbin only, for mainly used for the skin infection and other krumi like worms conditions.
There's neem, no? Neem. Yes.
Yes. And if you use that nimbin chemical compound only solely, the patient can go in very serious critical condition. But in neem plant, there are some other alkaloids which counteract that nimbin impact. Okay, if you can eat neem plant, then there is no any kind of side effect. So there are difference between the modern pharmacology and Ayurveda pharmacology. So we are mainly solely going with the herbal decoction or the raw powder, how we can use, and that thing we are more focusing to this.
Wow, that's very interesting to hear you speak about that, because I was thinking as you were speaking about that, how for me, I don't know, on a personal reflection, how the macro is the micro. At the same time, if Mother Nature has made this, produced neem or curcuma or turmeric, it's been produced or it's grown in a way that is wholesome and beneficial in its entirety, and not extracting one element. And so really there's like for me, I was thinking there's like a mini universe in the plant of all these, as you said, different alkaloids, these different components and chemicals that are all interacting with one another to bring balance. And just extracting one element and taking away from the other might have an imbalancing effect, actually.
Yes. And mainly if you take out some chemical compounds, that chemical compound is different physical entity rather than the plant. Okay, so rasavirya vipaka, that is a taste potency, will be different than the plant, and the action will be different. Okay, so whatever we learn about the curcuma, and we are only using the curcumin is different elements. Curcumin is different alkaloids. They have the different properties, different rasavirya vipaka. So action will be different, not same as the curcuma. Okay. So we should think about that. And this is the main chaotic situation is happening in the research point of view. And if we stick with the principles, then the research will be more good and more fruitful.
Yes, I guess, as you're saying, potentially extracting or taking a chemical compound apart, maybe it has, if you said it changes the rasa, it changes the energy, it changes the taste, the potency, the post-digestive effect, and the karma, the action. It could potentially have more of a fire effect, be more corrosive in the body, damaging, maybe cause inflammation. So that in itself is going to have a different action as if when you just took the plant in its entirety as a whole, the root or the mineral, as you're saying.
Yes. And if we want to use that chemical compound, so we should learn that compound in the Dravyaguna point of view. We should analyze the rasavirya vipaka of that specific compound and how that compound will act on our body. That's the more important. Okay. And that's why because of that, in last 10 years, whatever the researches are going on related with the herbal medicine are not going much more further because of this lack of.
And that's just sparked a little another thought in my brain. What you just said, that's very interesting as well, because obviously we know that these ancient Ayurvedic medicines and formulas are based on analysis, very thorough and very detailed analysis of all these, as you said, the taste, the energy, the potency, the action. So and all the formulas are prepared based on which form they might take, as an infusion form or capsular form, or the medicated oils, or ghees. But all of the formulas are very specifically analyzed before they're compiled in terms of what effect will one plant have on the other, and really to bring this harmony and balance. So maybe you can just speak a little bit about that, how Ayurvedic formulas and what is an Ayurvedic formula.
Mainly, whatever we are using the formulas, they are mentioning in the Charaka, Sushruta, Vagbata, or the different manuscript, and that manuscript is written by that researcher. Charaka is the researcher or scientist in that era. Sushruta is the researcher or scientist of that era, and they know how that interaction will happen. Okay, so in Sanskrita we said that the Muni eva janati sanyogajam phalam, which means the only intellectual or the only Muni people who controls the sense, who control their indriyas, they know better how the drug will interact with each other. It's very difficult for common people to understand, but there are principles. There are some guidelines they given to us for like common people who want to understand. It's a simple like whatever we are doing in our kitchen. If you want to add some spices, we are adding the chili, we are adding the black pepper, means that the potency is increasing. Okay, if you want to increase the potency, you can add that hot potency plant. Okay, if you want to reduce that potency, you are adding the water. Okay, you if you want to add the sweetness or cold potency in that, you are adding the sweet taste in that. Okay, this thing is simple, it's like a kitchen. And Ayurveda is always said that who is working in the kitchen, they do very grateful or very beautiful thing in the field of pharmaceutical science. They can easily add the things, they can easily remove the thing, because they know what the basic principle they are using in the kitchen pharmacy. Okay, and this thing, anyone can prepare the medicine very well if they know the basic science how we can cook the food.
Yes, that's wow, very interesting to hear. I guess it's like any practitioner or expert in a field, you know the science, you know the basis, you learn, and then you practice and you experiment, and after many years of this knowledge and gaining this knowledge and mastering your art, as you said, a chef in a kitchen or a scientific herbalist, or someone studying pharmacology. But after testing and trialing, you come to this knowledge of the formulations. It was making me think, as well as you were explaining about the pepper and about yogi tea. There's many recipes for a yogi tea, but a basic simple one that I like to make sometime is, fresh ginger with cinnamon, but just to balance out those two tastes which have a hot potency, you can add something like cardamom. So cardamom has a cooling potency. So it's really this balance and this formulation of and after trial and experimentation, and also knowing how it reacts with your body and your Prakruti and your constitution.
Very, very good. And that's the thing. Means in India, we said that in our home, the first Vaidya is, or first doctor in your home is your grandma.
Wow.
Okay. So she knows how to cook everything, how to add thing, how to remove that, and how the dish will be more beautiful and more healthy. Okay. So in India, the first defense mechanism of health system is the woman who is living in that home, because she know how to cook, she know how to use that spices, and she are giving some home remedies to children and their family members to recover easily. And if there are some seriousness, so definitely they go for the Vaidya for next day. But first line of defense is the person who is doing kitchen or food in there.
And that's such an important point to raise, because we know that one of the bases of Ayurveda, other than herbal supplements, other than this herbal medicinal field, is diet and food. And food is the first line of treatment, almost, or not just treatment, but prevention. It's all based on the food and the quality of the food. This wholesome, fresh food that we eat. It's really the first thing in order to maintain balance and our immunity on form.
Yes. And nowadays, the Ministry of Ayush, WHO, and all over the research institute all over the world, they want the nutraceutical products rather than the medicine. They want the food which can act as a medicine. Because everyone, means any patient they like to eat rather than to take medicine. And the nutraceutical branch of Ayurveda is booming very well, very good. And if you learn how can be your diet, will act on your body, and you can easily treat the diseases in primary phase, not an issue with that. So because of that, for my under my guidance, there are two students. They are working uh, in the field of, they are taking the master degree in Dravyaguna, and I am guiding them. So their project is related with we are preparing one granola, that is a dietary ingredient from the ragi millet, and that we are using for the perimenopausal syndrome,
Mm.
the menopausal woman who is suffering from the hot flushes and the different symptoms. And in that perimenopausal syndrome, rather than the giving the multivitamins or only tablets or only pills, we are giving the diet, and we are taking the result, how that will act. Also, we are taking another research which is related with the hair nutribites. The person who is suffering from the hair loss, yes,
Okay. Mm.
they are preparing some kind of laddu, you can say, small 20 grams of dietary product, and we are giving to that patient every day. So that
Internally.
yeah, internally, and they are taking and they are giving the nourishment, no doubt, but the form is food, and they are giving the good result in the form in the hair thinning and hair loss. So these kind of researches is now more booming, and
Mm.
we have to think about that thing. Miss, rather than the only think about the medicine, we can integrate the diet and medicine together, and that's a more beautiful touch.
And that is, wow, just to hear you say that, because for quite some time, I've often thought, I myself love herbal supplements. I'm really, I have my medicinal cabinet full of, yeah, I don't know, vitamin C, echinacea. These are the Western herbal medicines, but also Ayurvedic formulations. But at the same time, often I think, wow, so all of these things I can probably get my levels of vitamin C, or I can get potassium, or get all of this in the food I eat. If it's fresh, good quality, but hopefully when we can, always organic, not treated with herbicides, pesticides, biocides, and chemical fertilizers, because we know these deplete these qualities and the nutritional content and value of the food. But I always think, oh, okay, so maybe vitamin C levels or my iron levels, I just really you can treat this with the various food information that you put in your body, in your system.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes, and what you said about the pesticide and the other protective phenomena for modern science, or genetically modified plant they are using to yield the more productivity of that plant, that also impact in our body. So organic farming is the needed thing for current scenario and for the future also. Because if you see the genetically transferred cancer, or genetically formation of diseases, new genetical diseases are formed very more in last decade or 2 decade. Okay, and this is happening because of the heavy genetical modification of the plant,
Mm.
whatever we are eating. Okay, the fruits, whatever we are eating, it's genetically modified. Whatever milk we are drinking, that is genetically modified. Whatever we are eat as a bread or roti, everything is genetically modified, and it would definitely will impact on your genes. Okay, and that's a more worry thing, how the next few generation will suffer, and that's why Ayurveda is needed.
Mm. Yes, that's very worrying what you're talking about, but I know it's a phenomenon. But hopefully through expanding this knowledge about trying to not just eat ourselves, but through your purchases, although I know in the West it's a little bit it's a bit of a difficult conversation, because some people think, they find they don't have the economic capacity to buy organic or support businesses that are not using genetically modified seeds or foods and plants. But really, for me, it's also, it's not just a decision of investment in your long-term health, because as we know in Ayurveda, if you follow these simple steps and try to live more in line with nature, not only are you respecting your own body, but you're respecting the planet through what you purchase, and supporting a company or or farmers that support and help the earth, and help the earth, invest in the earth in terms of the long-term future, not depleting the soil quality, not harming the ecosystem, the biodiversity of the soil. All of this, as we said, the macro, micro, you're investing in a better future for yourself in terms of your own health, but also for your children, for the planet. It's all connected.
Everything is connected. And that's the beauty of Ayurveda. Ayurveda shows that how to live life with very consciously. Okay. The consciousness is very important. And along with that, the what are the impact will happen, what will be the karma will happen. If you understand that thing, you definitely act very well, very disciplined, and there is no need of medication.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very interesting. I just would want to ask you maybe a couple more questions before we finish, and coming back to Dravyaguna, to herbalism and Ayurvedic medicine. So could you just because in Western herbalism as well, we have various forms of making herbal medicine. We use tinctures, they can be alcohol based, but also we have things like creams and maybe olive oil. We soak plants in oils, put them in the sun, but obviously there's a very specific ways to make medicine in Ayurveda, and there's very many forms to take these herbal medicines. So could you just describe some of the forms in terms of the medicinal herbal products, in terms of Fanta, Hima, Thailam, things like Brita?
Mainly the any plants, whatever you are using, you can use in different 5 basic kalpanas. That is a swarasa. You can prepare the juice of that plant.
A fresh juice. Mm-hmm.
Fresh juice, yes. You can prepare the decoction. The specific proportion is already given from the Ayurveda. That is a decoction with the water. You can prepare the hot infusion method, like a tea. You can prepare that thing. Cold infusion method for the aromatic plants. You can prepare with the cold infusion. You can prepare the paste of that plant. You can use that thing. If you want to increase the earth element specifically, the paste is the more earth element content.
So externally, for example, I think
externally and also internally, depending upon for Panchakarma, and you can prepare the specific medicated oil with that herbs. You can prepare the medicated ghee with that herbs. You can prepare the alcohol-based formulation, that is asava and arishta. One good thing I can share with you that where my wife Ankita, I think you should know. I think you know that her. She is pursuing PhD also, and mainly gynecological disorder. And she is preparing one asava, that is one. The name is Kapisa, and the alcohol-based formulation. And that asava showing the activity that if any alcoholic patient is taking the alcohol longer duration, and because of that the hepatotoxicity, hepatic failure is happening, that asava, that kapisa, is giving the liver regeneration action. Okay. And now we are also from one step ahead. Now we are doing the research on that kapisa, that oncoimmunity action means the mainly in our body the cancerous cells are present, and against of that cancerous cells our immunity is working. If your immunity is suppressed, the cancer cell will be grow. And we are now checking that the kapisa can work on that oncoimmunity, and that we can prevent the cancer. That is a more beautiful thing. We are working on that. We are doing the research. It takes around 2 to 3 years to work to finalize that thing. But we are thinking that is the asav is one of the very potential form of that herbs. Okay, you can prepare that. Mainly in Ayurveda, you can use the water for the extraction method. You can prepare the lipids, that is the oil or ghee, butter, for the extraction methods. These 2 forms we are using for the extracting of that specific compound from that herbs. Okay. So there are different formulation we can prepare. The churna is one of the powder form. It's the common form we are using. pills, means butti form we are using. So there are different methods of preparation of drugs.
Very interesting. And could you just explain, for example, an example, as you said, a paste, for example, you'd use to increase the earth element. Could you explain a little, just if I know it's very extensive and quite detailed, but for example, a gritam, a ghee or a medicated ghee or oil, you might use to increase the earth element also if you have dryness, or you can use externally or internally.
Yes.
But obviously all of this is based on these qualities of the elements and
with the elements also, means ghee is the one of the solvent that can act according to the plant. Okay, means if your plant, whatever the plant you are in, like we can go Central Asiatica, Brahmi has affinity towards the neurological system.
Brahmi, yes. Mm-hmm.
If you prepare the Brahmi Ghruta, you can prepare the Brahmi with
medicated ghee with
medicated ghee. Yeah. That Brahmi Ghruta act more than 10 times more actively. Okay, and has more affinity towards the brain tissue. Same thing is happening with different other herbs. Ghruta or ghee is improving that specific activity more. Okay, but oil is more different in nature. Oil is not improving the specific activity, but oil give the pacifying nature of Vata and the pacifying nature of more towards the Kapha. Okay, so this thing is happen, and depending upon the which herb, means some compound or some things from the plants are only soluble in the water. Some compounds are only soluble in the lipids. Okay,
we broke up a little bit there.
Okay. So
okay.
Depending upon the solubility, we are using the different compounds also.
Okay. Very, very interesting. Thank you. I know it's very extensive, so it's very difficult to explain everything at once. So just if we're coming to the end, but maybe could I just ask you, do you have any suggestions for people how they can incorporate herbal medicine and into their daily life, or any tips for the listeners in terms of how to use botanical and herbal medicine in their daily life and in their daily routines?
In daily routine, regularly we are using the herbs. Okay, whatever we are eating, leafy vegetables, they are the herbs. The fruits, whatever we are eating, there are the herbs. If we analyze the what are the rasa of that specific fruit, is the pineapple, the common fruit we are using. The pineapple is sweet in taste, sweet in vipaka, but hot in potency. Okay? But if you eat pineapple more in quantity, it definitely causes the mouth ulcer. It definitely increases the acidity. Yes, it definitely increase the acidity in your body. So if you analyze the every fruit according to the principles of Dravyaguna, principles of Ayurveda, you can easily use that fruit for the medicinal purpose also, for the dietary purpose also, for the health condition also. That's a very beautiful thing. And for that reason, you should definitely stay with us. We will in future we will definitely do some more podcasts related with the specific fruits and plants, everything.
Okay, thank you very much. So thanks so much for joining this podcast. As you said, we'll do some more episodes in the future on more specific topics, but would you just like to explain how your listeners, if they have any questions or might want to reach out to you, maybe they might visit India and could come by your practice, could you just tell us a little bit how they can get in touch? And obviously I'll put these details all in the end in the show notes, and I'll detail them so people have them written also.
Yes. In India, I have clinic in Pune. Okay, Sri Vishwangat Ayurved Clinic. It's difficult to write it down, but I will share all the details of my clinic address, my phone number, social media accounts, and my personal email. So you can communicate with me through these channels. And if you have any queries related with your health, I'm here. My wife is also, she is working in the field of Ayurveda and pursuing also treating the patients continuously, mainly focusing on the gynecological disorders. I'm morely towards the metabolic disorder or cancer. So we are here for your health, your service.
Thank you. Okay, so it's very nice speaking to you, and we'll be in touch soon to discuss more topics.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye. I wanted to ask you one question that I didn't get to ask you, but what you spoke about the sages and their and knowledge comes through. Did you mean the retaining of the five senses? You said you talked about Indriya.
Yes, the mainly sages or the Muni, they control their sense organs.
Hmm.
They know how to control their senses, how to control their mind, how to open the interior, means our inner eye, and because of that, they know how to interact the two herbs when they collide with each other, how the things will happen.
Hmm.
It's very difficult for us to show that. Okay, it's because of they have enlightened. That's the thing.
Hmm. I was just thinking about the Samkhya theory, of the manifestation of the universe and how the Pancha Maha Bhutas are really more tamasitic in quality, tamasic, no? So maybe as what you're saying, when you withdraw from the tamasic, or you don't invest so much energy in the tamasic, you go more to the sattvic. So you tap into this consciousness, the universal consciousness, that this knowledge, that
Yes.
you also can channel then.
Yes, perfectly said.
Mm.
That and in nowadays in Kali Yuga, it's very difficult for us.
Yes, well, there's a distraction in Kali Yuga.
Yes, a lot of distraction. That's very good. I like today's questions and the energy, your positive vibes. I like very much.
Thank you, you too. And I'm so grateful, and it's an honor really to learn from you. Even though we're in two different countries in two different time zones across the planet. Obviously in Kali Yuga, one of the things of Kali Yuga is technology, but in the same way, technology is also helping us so to expand knowledge of Ayurveda. So I'm very grateful for this.
It's a very good thing you are doing, whatever you are doing.
I'm trying. Yes, I mean, it's I really want to try and merge the Eastern and the Western approach. This is what my aim is, and also to bring us back to nature. It's to, as you said, it's when we learn about that there's a science to life. We don't get taught this in school. We learn about biology, and we learn about chemistry and physics, but it's really not from a holistic macro approach. So it's kind of connecting all the dots, and as you also said, expanding our consciousness. It's being more aware. Okay, the sun rises and this affects my hormones, and the sun sets and this affects my hormones, and my hormones also affect my mood and my emotions and my psychology. So I really want to bring consciousness and awareness to these things, so people can also auto-regulate and self-regulate, manage their emotions, manage their diet, really manage their dis-ease, because we have a lot of dis-ease on the planet nowadays, unfortunately. I think people might feel a little bit lost, and really this knowledge is vital for me to having a path to knowledge, to awareness, to consciousness.
Sure.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Abhijeet. We'll be in touch.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Ciao. Bye. Namaste.
Namaste.